Hi, I'm Claudia Fox, and the name of the show is Degrees of Success. The reason that I started this show was because I wrote a book, Degrees of Success, where I interviewed people who were successful without a college degree. I found it just fascinating. And a big thing for me was I did not go to college, and I was very successful in the world of real estate. I remember back in high school feeling very left out because most of my friends went to high school. But as it turned out, my struggles became fruitful, and I became successful through my own learning of lessons. So in this show, I am interviewing people who are successful without that college degree. And it's fascinating. Excuse me. I'm sure you're going to love to hear the story of Carri Bashak.
Thank you.
Carrie is an
Esthetician.
Esthetician. I always stumble on that word.
A lot of people do.
It's a great word and a great description. So tell us, how did you start out in your family? Did your parents talk about going to college? What were the messages that you got?
Not really, no. College wasn't really enforced in my house. I think the things that were really enforced were more, my mother always felt that she wanted us happy, making an honest living, but mostly doing something that felt meaningful to us. My father didn't have much schooling at all. He came here as an immigrant, as a teenager, and worked from a very early age. So, but that being said, I had two siblings, and there was, my oldest brother went and got 2 degrees. So I don't know how much of it was messages we were getting at home. We all just kind of went in different paths. For me, I just knew that I wanted to do something in the beauty industry, but college wasn't really pushed at home, no.
Do you feel it was pushed at school?
I do. Both when I was in high school and even when I went on to raise my children, I felt that was always a pattern of schools pushing the typical 4-year education degree. And yeah, I would say it was pushed at school a lot.
Now, your father came from Italy?
Yes.
Okay, so he gave you some work ethic.
Yes,
correct?
Absolutely. Yes, my father worked from a very, very early age, and I really got the message that if you wanted something in life, you worked for it. And I very much still have that feeling and try to impart that to my children. There's no free rides. If you want something, you work for it. Yeah. Absolutely.
Now, you also have a brother who's artistically inclined, and you mentioned he wrote his own show.
Yes. My brother, I have 2 brothers, and one of them went to a traditional, college route, and my brother Paul is very, very artistic and has really just his artistic career has just evolved, and he has ended up writing. He's a playwright, he's an actor, and he's actually taught theater at UCLA. So,
wow.
Yeah,
wow,
really proud.
So you started working very young.
Mm-hmm.
And And so at what age?
I was, however old you are in 5th grade, I think I was around 11, and I wanted to make a little extra money, so I started house cleaning. And then I went to middle school, and they had a little youth employment service.
Oh, my goodness.
And it was very, you know, back then you just had little index cards with your name and phone number, or people who needed help would call into the school, and you would go through the youth employment service to get work. So I started doing that through middle school, and then I continued to house clean all through my high school years. And I would just go around condominium complexes and, you know, hang my information with the little pull-off tabs and hope that somebody would call me, and then I'd give them an estimate. And then when I finished high school, I started a partnership with a friend, and did that for years. Yeah.
Wow.
So I liked it.
You were very industrious.
Yeah.
And you followed through.
Yep.
And you got business. That's
Yes.
incredible.
Yep. Yep.
So how did you feel when, like at school, when people went off to college and you didn't go? Did you have any feelings about that?
I did. I feel like I sometimes felt a little embarrassment back then. I knew that I wanted to be in the industry I am now, but I felt so pressured, and I think, you know, the narrative of the high school was, you know, everybody goes to college. What college are you going to? And I never felt empowered to just simply say, I don't see that path for me, or I don't want to go that route. I want to do this instead. So back then it was a little awkward, and I wish I felt a little more empowered to just say, no, that's not what I want to do, you know?
Yeah. I totally understand, because most of my friends went to college, and so I was bored when they left. I went to be a secretary, which first I liked, but then I didn't like after a while, and it took me a long, long time to get out of that path.
Right.
12 years, actually. So how long did it take you to get out of the cleaning business into your passion?
Well, you touched on something that I identified with as well. I did have, you know, my cleaning, and I was waitressing as well and working in the restaurant business. I really love working with people. That I know. I really love any interactions I have with people. So both of those things afforded me that. But I was still kind of grappling with, maybe I should try this. Maybe I should be a secretary, you know? I think there used to be Catherine Gibbs, where a lot of ladies went, and, you know, maybe I should learn to type, or, you know, fit this mold that I'm supposed to do. I toyed with all kinds of career ideas that didn't require a college education, you know? I think for one summer I wanted to be a wedding planner. You know, there was all kinds of crazy ideas. So, you know, it took me about, I was out of high school 8 years, you know, just hustling and working, and before I actually embarked on the industry I am in now, the beauty industry.
How did you know that, like, what happened or what occurred for you that made you think beauty industry? I
felt pretty passionately about from an early age. All through high school, I dabbled in makeup, and I really enjoyed the ritual of playing with makeup, of doing skincare. If I had a friend who was going to a prom or something like that, I wanted to be the one to do the makeup and play with it. And I also put tremendous value in making people feel better about themselves. And that was really, really important to me. You know, the connection, even if it's something small, putting makeup on. In the years that I have worked with makeup and stuff like that, I would notice a difference. But just lost my mic.
Okay, well, we need that.
Thank you.
Okay. So maybe just hold it up.
Yep.
Little thing here, but
That's
we
fine.
got it
Little
handled.
glitch. But I would notice a difference in how people carry themselves when they feel confident about their appearance. And I really felt like, you know what, maybe beauty is about how you feel inside and not so much the aesthetics. So that was a big catalyst in me, you know, wanting to choose the path I chose. I loved making people feel better about themselves.
Well, I met Carrie on the pickleball field courts.
Right.
But when I heard what she did, I have very little eyebrows because, you know, age catches up with you and those little hairs disappear.
Right, right.
So I went and got my eyebrows done, and best eyebrows ever.
Thank you.
It makes you look younger to
Yeah.
have full
Absolutely.
eyebrows. It's a great feeling.
Absolutely.
I know, so you were really great
All
at
those little
that.
details,
Yes.
yeah, make a big difference.
So did you go to school to become an esthetician?
Yes, yes. I attended, I went full time, and I was in my early 20s, and I got a very, very good basic education. Actually, it was more than a basic education. We studied all the systems of the body, endocrine, circulatory, and basically how everything works synergistically, you know, as it pertains to skin. And but much of my education really evolved. That was a great springboard and basis, but most of my education evolved after that from the places you work. You know, I have worked in facilities where plastic surgery was done, so I learned a lot of that type of, you know, pre and post-op things. I worked as a makeup artist for years. And I worked for Estee Lauder. That was probably one of the first jobs I had, which was a wonderful experience. And, you know, most of what I've accumulated was really on-the-job training. You just pick up a little bit from every place you go, and then you save some of this and you save some of that. And it's been really a fulfilling career.
Wow. And you also mentioned to me that your husband, when you met your husband, he helped you with the schooling.
He
so
did.
Partnering gave you the confidence to finally go and do it. Is that correct?
Very much so. I was not pulling, for some reason, pulling the trigger, so to speak, on taking that next step. And I don't know why, but I just was maybe in the comfort of having the cleaning business, which was doing very, very well, and then working at night in the restaurant business, which was lucrative and fun, very, very fun. But it was my husband who we met, and he knew I wanted to do this, and I needed just a little push. And I had researched the school, and there really wasn't many schools that offered that at the time. And so to my surprise, actually for a birthday present, he gave me an envelope, and there was a gift certificate in it with a third of my tuition. He had gone, and yeah, and it was, I know that the owner of the school still reflects upon that story to many people, because she was so, she found that so endearing, and it just set me on my path, and I never turned back, you know. So sometimes people need a push, I guess, right?
Or incentive, inspiration,
yes,
motivation.
Absolutely.
What is the message you've given your children about college or not going to college?
You know, I didn't push either way. I really wanted my kids to have a fulfilling career that they felt passionate about. So whether or not that comes from school or a trade, I just wanted them to do something to start, you know, find your way, dabble in things a little bit. And both of them have really, you know, had their path, and they're working it out, and they're, you know, happy with what they're doing, and found their way. But yeah, I never pushed. I really didn't. I remembered how it felt as a young person, feeling like this is the only way that you have to go. And I was really more about find your passion, you know, whatever that is, just find your passion, because you have to do it. You have to do it for the rest of your life. So nobody wants to be in an unhappy position. You want to be doing something that feels meaningful, right?
And we live so much longer now.
Right.
And that's something young people have to think about.
Yes.
Truly. So if you were to say you had, for example, a failure that helped you move ahead, that you learned a lesson from, can you think of something that you would consider in that category?
I think the one regret I have was not acting sooner on moving forward with my chosen trade or vocation. You know, I don't know why I stalled, but that would be something I would have done differently, and just felt the confidence to get right into the industry that I wanted to upon finishing school. That would probably be it. Yeah.
Well, I understand, because it took me 12 years of being a secretary, and I even had a secretarial job at an airline. Wow. So I got to travel because of it, but I grew tired of it so quickly, and I so wanted to move ahead. And I was stuck too. I have no idea why I didn't do something sooner.
Right.
But one day I just said, okay, this is it. Whatever job I get next, it cannot say secretary.
Right.
That's all. I don't care what it is. Just get me up a level.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's tough. There's the goodness of it,
right,
and then but the yearning for something else.
Yeah, and it is all part of the process. Sometimes you just need to wake up and say, I'm tired of doing this, and you know, then you feel propelled to take the next step. You know, I definitely can relate to that. And then months can become years. So I do wish I started earlier, but I started.
Yes,
it's been a wonderful, wonderful career.
And is there a message or a tip, so to speak, something a message you would give to teens who are now, say, in the 11th or 12th grades, or floundering, trying to figure it out? Is there some message of hope, or?
You know, I think teens should really, I mean, that's why something like this is so beneficial. I think teens need to feel empowered to ask questions and find mentors. And even doing what I do as an esthetician, I've had young people come in for services. I can remember people specifically who were at that point, like, I'm thinking of becoming an esthetician, and I love to have conversations with those people, because ask questions, you know, don't be afraid to say, I need help, or can I shadow you for a day? I think a lot of businesses now and a lot of corporations would offer those opportunities, offer to shadow and help and work for free, just to gain that experience of what a day in the life would be of having that career. because then you really get your feet wet and get a taste for it and say, you know, oh, I really would like to do this.
Yeah.
I've talked to many girls who've come in for facials, and a couple of them have come back to me and said, you know what? I wanted to be an esthetician, and I had that facial with you, and I walked out of here sure that that's what I wanted to do. And I love hearing stuff like that. So yeah, talk to people and ask questions and offer to help or just be mentored or whatever, you know, get into it, you know, don't be afraid.
Great message.
Yeah.
I know when I wrote my book, it was about 15 years ago, it kind of felt flat because then people were not accepting that you don't, need to go to college. It shifted. I mean, certainly Bill Gates and people like that, Branson. There's so many people that I've written about in my book that are very successful. But on the whole, schools did not accept that. And it's only really, I think, since the pandemic and where parents lost jobs, so they can't afford to send their kids, or kids didn't get the proper schooling, the appropriate knowledge to move on to college. So schools are much more accepting now, much more looking into ways that can help teens move ahead with new curriculum.
Right.
So it is changing.
There was a big article in the New York Times about apprenticeships and internships, and that this is a new path that is being, carved out to not just necessarily go the college route. And is it actually necessary? There are so many fields where you can just start and work yourself up into you don't have to even necessarily, even if you're not doing a trade, you can get it at an entry-level position and be elevated through the company. There was a big article in the New York Times, and then I was reading about your book, and it's the same message.
Yeah.
It's the same message,
And some big corporations are also getting real and bringing in young people, and they're putting it in the news. I actually saw a couple of times on the news where they are accepting people now and training them, as you said.
Right, absolutely.
Well, Carrie, thank you so much for being on the show. And if you'd like to reach Carrie, get out a pencil and piece of paper. I'm going to give you a number. You can call me. I will get you to Carrie, especially if you'd like to have something done on your skin. What is your full range? Do you do skin?
So yeah, I do everything from facials, chemical peels, and waxing. Over the course of my career, I've done nails, makeup. I don't really focus on those things anymore. It's mostly skincare and waxing and brow services and lash services. Very, very fun industry to be in. But yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
Well, your skin is like peaches and cream.
I appreciate it, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to talk about, success without a degree.
Great. So you can reach me, and the number is also going to flash on the screen, 914-391-8274. So if you'd like to get in touch with her, or if you think that you are someone who should be on this show, or you know someone who should be on this show, we're really low-key. We're in Newtown, and I'd love to speak with you. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you tune in to the other shows. Signing off for today.
Thank you.